VEVE is an NFT platform where you can collect some of the biggest brands in the world in digital format. And today I'm going to be discussing why I believe you should be buying 2 of everything that you possibly can, how this is going to make you more successful in the future, and some of the concerns that you may have to think about when doing so. Let's get into it. Welcome in everyone, my name's Andy, and I appreciate you taking some time out of your day to come and watch this video on the channel. Just before we get started, if you would like to subscribe to this channel, I would love for you to be a part of the community as we learn more about NFTs, crypto, and how to better ourselves in this space that we're moving into. Investing as a whole is already quite a nerve-wracking thing to do. And when you're putting your eggs in one basket, or you're trying to diversify your content and you're trying to diversify your portfolio, it can be really nerve-wracking seeing the prices shoot up and down, not really knowing what to do with it, especially in the NFT space. Regular investor, I have seen anyway, often panics when news like this comes about and they don't truly understand what they're meant to do, how they're meant to sell, how they're meant to buy, and what to do next if something drastic happens, whether that be a sharp increase or decrease. These NFTs that are on VEVE right now are from the biggest brands in the world. So you have the likes of Marvel, DC, Cartoon Network, Disney, and individual artists that are all a part of this amazing platform that they built up. And when you buy one of these collectibles, you often get quite attached to it, as you've seen it before in TV series, movies, comics, anything like that. So when you buy these, you often get an emotional attachment towards it. And I've seen a lot of people who weren't collectors before, myself included, who are now really enjoying the collecting process and becoming someone who's increasing their vault size and increasing the number of collectibles that they have. But one of the biggest problems that I do see is that when we only collect one of something, when anything drastic happens, I have that nervous feeling on whether to sell or whether to hold it for the long run, as we don't really know where it's going to go. We don't know if it's going to improve even further, if we've reached the all-time high, or even if it's reaching an all-time low and we should get out because it might go to zero. I know for me this has happened plenty of times with some of the things I've only got one of. It really made me anxious in the beginning when I'd only had one of those, because I thought I could sell it for an amazing profit right now, but I kind of want to keep it and I don't know if it's ever going to be at this price again. This is where we take the collector's mindset, and something David Yu has mentioned is you collect 3 of everything. 1 to sell, 1 to keep, and 1 to do whatever the hell you want with. Now I understand that some of the collectibles on VEVE are way out of the reach to be able to afford 3, and why I've sort of lowered it to 2 for not only myself, but what I believe is best for others as well. It allows you to keep one forever, and it allows you to do whatever you want with the second one, as you're able to play around with the price, see how it moves, and see the best action for you to take as it moves up. I often try to talk a lot about staying convicted with your plan, understanding what your plan is, how to stay true to it, and to not falter away from it. And this is one of the things that I've seen most people not being able to do, because they're listening to the hype, they're seeing the FOMO, and then they try to get in themselves by buying one of the collectibles at the all-time high. And all this ends up doing is losing money in the short term, and they may even decide to sell because they're not seeing their prices come back to what it was. Again, I've made a video on the market itself and what you should be paying attention to, so be sure to go and check that out if that's something that you'd like to see and something you want to understand more about the market and how to stay more convicted in your plan. You can also make a video on a plan that you can start to make for yourself if you want to see that, so let me know down in the comments if that is something you want to do. Taking profits where necessary is important, and one of the best quotes that I love when it comes to this space is you can never go broke taking profits. And why I've tried to sort of shift my mindset as I'm becoming more involved in this space and understanding what I need and why I need it. If we use an example that I'm going to show here, we can look at Ajax that was released from the Marvel Mighties. Now, if you had purchased down here on November the 14th for around 50, that means you would have been able to buy 2 of them for around about 100 gems. We're not going to talk about the licensing fee and all that sort of stuff here, but I just want you to understand this as a whole. And after that, if we take it to what we're at right now, we're sitting at around 84 gems. Now that means you could have sold them both for 168 combined and 1 for 84, meaning technically if you were to sell one of them, you've only paid 16 gems for that one collectible and still made a lot of profit on all of them. This is why it's important for me to collect 2 of each collectible that I'm trying to get and have that conviction to know that if this is to go up, I have the ability to sell and I'm okay with selling it at that price. If you actually take when I would have most likely sold if I were to buy 2 of them at 50, which I actually managed to do at the time, was I sold around about here. So I sold for 90 for one of them and still have another one. But this allowed me to only spend about 10 gems on getting a rare Marvel Mighties, which is something I'm really happy about. And I know a lot of people would do the same, and this is how I got my way way up to where I'm at today, because I had the plan and I knew that when buying when people were scared, but selling when people were FOMOing into things would allow me not only to increase my vault collection, but allow me to make more profit, to spend more on things that I wanted. This isn't me trying to flaunt the collectibles I have, but help you understand more why this is the case and why you can actually make a lot more money than you think. You're someone who is looking to flip some things but also collect at the same time. Because for me personally, this is where I've been able to make the most money, as I'm able to buy two, and when one shoots up in price, I'm all right with selling one off, as that was the plan from the beginning. And when I sell that one off, if I really want, I can buy back when people were scared about the prices that are changing. And if it does go low enough, then that's great. But if it keeps rising and it never reaches that low again that I purchased it for, then again, I'm all right with it, because I've had my plan, I stayed convicted to it. Plus, I also have one more in my vault. Again, I'm going to reiterate that you're not going to be able to do this for everything. I don't have two vaults. I don't have the money to do that. But when it comes to things like Ajax, where I only paid 50, that is a little bit more in my price range of what I'm able to do. So for you, don't worry, it doesn't have to be something monumental in the beginning. Everyone starts somewhere, and it's going to take you some time to build it up. But if you're all right with understanding that that's the case, then you're going to be a lot better in the future if you're able to stick to the plan that you've set yourself for this. We're going to have another example that I'm going to show you on the screen right now, just so you can understand it further and take it a little bit differently. We've talked about the Disney NFTs that were dropped recently, and if we look when Homer and Bart were first dropped here, you can see it was sitting at about 200 gems. Now if you had 200 odd gems to buy there at the beginning, you would have been able to get two for around 400 gems, and by the time that we're sitting at right now, Homer and Bart is around 715. Now that is an incredible price range that you have got in regards to buying it at the 200 mark, and something that you could have made serious money on. You can see how this transition starts to happen as you get higher up when it comes to this, because also if you look at Walt and Mickey that have been released, we can see that they actually started around 2 to 3k and went all the way up to 11k at one point. It's back down to 7,400 at the moment. But even at that, if you're buying at 2k and you're buying at 3k, that means you've spent 6,000 on two of them, and you're able to sell one for even more than you bought both of them for. This is the level that it can take you to, and why the low, medium and high sort of investments in the beginning for you to focus on are going to be important. Yes, buying two Amazing Spider-Man comics at like 25 and selling them at 50 isn't going to be the most revolutionary money you've ever made in your life. But you have to start somewhere, and if you stay to your plan and you continue to move forward with that, you're eventually going to be able to work your way up to purchasing two Disney moments at the one time, or two of the ultra rares, to be able to cash out on one of them and make the money back for both of them when they do rise. This is also not to say that everything is just going to continue to rise for the rest of your life. You know, there's going to be ones that probably go a lot lower and don't work, but again, that's why you need to do research on the collectibles that you are doing. You've got to look at what people are paying for it. You've got to look at the supply of it. You've got to look at the background of the character. You've got to look at the fan base of the character. There's a lot of other things that you can take into consideration when doing this. But for the majority that you do research on and you have that plan, nothing can really get in your way in regards to making money on it whilst also collecting what you love. NFTs and the crypto world and even the stocks world has a lot of people nervous. And I know when I'd first got a lot of my friends into Vive, they were all extremely jittery when it came to prices rising and falling quickly. And I'm sure that a lot of you are the same. So what you have to understand is that when you buy two, you can breathe and know that it's okay when things fall and rise, because you know that yes, it will climb back up eventually if I'm willing to hold for long enough. And when it does rise, and if it rises really quickly, then you are all right with letting that one go, because the emotional attachment is maybe to one of them, but it won't be to both. What do you think about what we've talked about today? Do you believe that buying two is good, or do you believe 5 is the better move to make? Or are you all right with actually holding one yourself? Let me know in the comments, as I'd love to have a discussion about everything that we've talked about today. I know the video on the screen right now will be something you'll love to watch. Have a fantastic day.